Good afternoon, everyone. It is 4:30. I'd like to welcome you all here this afternoon. I'd like to begin by standing for a moment of silence, and then we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please?
Wayne Barahona.
Here.
Tom Eggers. Brad Kent.
Here.
Ken Snyder.
Here.
Pete Hamill.
Here. All right, next item up is the approval of the agenda. I'll take a motion to approve that.
So move.
Support. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Hint.
Aye.
Barahona.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Hamill.
All right, the next item is the public forum. This is for anyone that would like to address the council. And if you would, please step forward, state your name for the record.
Jeff Schwartz, and I've given one of these letters to Sam, and basically saying that me and Mark have been in talks about him buying out my contract for the residential part of the garbage stuff.
Okay.
Basically what it is.
And just for the record, I will read that letter. It's dated April 17th, 2023. It's addressed to the City of Sheldon, Sam Coinker, and council members. This letter is to notify you that Schwartz Sanitary Service has decided to transfer their residential contract to Mark Gertler, owner of DeKreif Disposal of Sheldon, effective May 1 of 2023. Did you have a comment, Sam?
I can. Thank you, Mayor. So our city attorney is not here today. It just received, having just received this today, we'll need to consult with him. I do understand in the contract it does require notification. So as far as amendments to the contract, that's something that would have to be drafted and voted on. But at that point, it would probably be more between DeKreif and the city than you and the city. So, but you do plan on providing service until that time. Okay.
Okay. All right, thanks, Jeff. Any other public comments at this time? Yeah, step forward, state your name, Kerwin, for the record.
Kerwin Sterler. I'm here again on the water and sewer charge disparity.
They did add a public comment.
And there have been a few multiple unit businesses that have been paying a large portion of the water and sewer revenue for a number of years. It has been magnified as of late because of the water sewer rate increases, and we've talked to Sam and Todd, have a utility rate study that it will be presented in the next while here. I don't know if that's tonight or when you're going to be presenting that. It's a 5-step program to try and get the disparity corrected. These businesses have been carrying these extra charges for years, and it has now been magnified because of the rapid rate of increases due to the water and sewer costs. I guess I'd like to see it go to the, I don't know, does everybody have that, your sewer proposal, Sam, or not yet?
Yeah, if I might.
Yes, go ahead.
So it's, Kerwin, it's item 6E on the agenda today, and we do have a public comment period under that item.
Oh.
So if that's okay, we can discuss it then, but I have it linked
Okay.
to today's agenda.
So then I would step up here then? Are you saying, or what? Are you gonna?
You can do both, but it would be preferred if we have Todd present it, and you could talk under the public comment period under 6E.
Okay.
And then if you want to pull up the wording on your phone, it's City of Sheldon, or sheldoniowa.gov.
Yeah.
So it'll be at the bottom of the agenda.
All right, we'll hear from you more later then, Kerwin. Thank you. Anyone else wanting to address council, public comments at this time? No written comments at all, were there?
None.
Okay. Then they'd like to move on then to the consent agenda. You had it before.
Consent agenda.
Support. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Snyder?
Aye.
Farahona?
Aye.
Hamel? Hint?
Aye.
Okay, then we are into our new business portion of the meeting. And the first item up there is the introduction of the economic development by Country View Constructions. Kurt, did you want to say a few words first?
Yeah, I will. Thanks, Mayor. Just wanted to welcome Sean Wassner from Country View Construction to the meeting today. Sean's working on a project in Floyd Industrial Park, and I can steal his thunder. I just invited Sean to come and say a few words, and so just about the project and kind of take it from there. So Sean, I'll give you the podium.
Welcome, Sean.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sean Wassner, owner of Country View Construction out of Sheldon. I just want to thank you for your time and hearing this proposal. First, about the business idea. We're looking to build a new business incubator / condominium storage complex in the Floyd Industrial Park. And we hope to provide affordable lease, purchase, and rental options to new and existing smaller businesses at a price that will work for small business model. We believe that Sheldon is in need of some commercial and industrial space, and that this project will help fill this gap. These units also have the potential to serve as a high-end condominium-style storage unit for businesses or personal needs. Second, the potential benefits. These units have the opportunity to attract new and existing small businesses, which in turn have the potential to provide new jobs for Sheldon. Along with the new property tax revenue Sheldon will receive, this project can serve as a win-win for the Sheldon community. Third, about the project. We are purchasing Lot 6 in the Floyd Industrial Park to build a 280-foot by 64-foot building that will house 8 individual condo/rental units. These 8 units will be sold, leased, or rented out individually, and we hope to begin construction May of 2023. We have agreed in the first option to purchase Lot 5, which is west of Lot 6. Lot 5 would serve as a potential phase 2 in this project and would house 9 additional units similar to the ones being built on Lot 6 of this year. Fourth, we are asking for assistance through TIF. In order to keep construction costs in line and provide an affordable selling price for the units, we are requesting the consideration of a 5-year sliding scale tax rebate. This will be based on the new increase in property tax assessments on the approximate 18,000 square foot building. We will agree to a 10-year minimum assessment agreement of $1.2 million. The increase is estimated to increase in approximately $30,000 in new property tax revenue for Sheldon. In closing, we're excited to get started on this project, and I want to thank you for your consideration in the TIF application.
All right, thank you, Sean. Are there any questions for Sean at this time?
Have you built any of these before?
Not specifically, no. We've been in construction for 15, 20 years, but
Well, I'm just curious as to the types of business you would find in these kinds of...
well, I think these units lead to, you know, what your imagination can lead you to, you know. I mean, it can house anything from a contractor like myself, that's just starting out, to family entertainment, to just about anything, you know.
And with these, you said they were 6 units?
There's 8.
8 units? Are they all the same size, or
No.
is it kind of build to suit, or how are you doing
The
that?
2 end ones are a bigger unit, and the 6 in the middle are the same.
Well, I've seen this in use in other towns, and they don't stay empty, so I do think that it is a positive step to be creative about using space for business, and yeah, I think I'm excited about it, so.
We've had potential people inquiries already, so
That's awesome.
hopefully it works.
Good deal. Anyone else?
Good idea.
Thanks again.
All right, thank you, Sean.
Nice work, Sean. Speaking like a true economic development professional up here.
I'm sure you had no help in writing that.
Right. So just an FYI, there'll be a TIP application linked to the next agenda for consideration. At that point, we'll set for a public hearing, and we'll potentially get the contract for your consideration at the May 17 council meeting, just so for your consideration. $1.4 million total investment as far as project is concerned. Like Sean said, they'd be agreeing to about a $1.2 million minimum assessment agreement, which carries a time frame of about 10 years. So exciting project. A couple of things, you know, there's a kind of a project that your group is involved with over in Orange City, and you talk about maybe some of the businesses that are involved in that. There's a kinder zone in that, so those that are familiar with the kinder zone, a lot of people from Sheldon actually go over there. The kinder zone is actually occupied in a space similar to what Sean's team will be building. There's also, I think, a CrossFit gymnasium in one of them too over there in Orange City too. So to his point, it could be anything. And
What was
that's
the
kind
second
of
one? Was it
CrossFit gym, which I'm sure
Oh,
you'll want to get a membership to right out of the gate. So it's all over the board as far as what these things could be used for, which is kind of the exciting part of it. So, so anyway, unless anybody has any questions, you can just, the TIP application will be linked to next council meeting, which will be May 3, and then set for public hearing. Then we'll be considering the contract May 17. So in the TIP application, we'll be coming as a recommendation both from the SEDC Development Committee as they vetted this application and project, as well as the SEDC Executive Committee. So just as something to chew on as we kind of approach those deadline dates. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Kurt. So at this point, no action is required, am I correct? Just receive for information.
Right, there will be a set for hearing at a future meeting for a hearing 2 weeks later.
Okay. All right, then let's move on to the second item under new business, which is to consider the resolution of support and the local incentive for the Prairie Trail Phase 2 project. Is there anyone that wants to speak to that at this point?
I can say just a few words to that, Mayor. So this is essentially a refresh from what we did last year. We're working with Citadel and their team again to submit an application for consideration to Iowa Economic Development Authority for consideration of the Workforce Housing Tax Credit Program. If approved this year, they would hope to be able to start the project this fall, which would create an additional 30-unit apartment complex and up to 10 townhomes as part of that project. So this will be the third year in a row we'll be submitting an application. We're hopeful. We'll go through all the processes like we have to go through, and one of the processes is a resolution of support, which identifies our commitment with the local incentive. And as you recall, our local incentive is the 10-year tax abatement as part of Phase 2.
And this project doesn't happen without this tax credit?
That's correct. I mean, so the state allocates $35 million statewide. About 36% of the applications get funded statewide, very, very competitive. But the max allocation per project is about actually $1 million, and that's about what this project would be able to be eligible for. So you can imagine what $1 million will do to about a $6.2, $6.3 million total project. It's pretty substantial.
I might.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you to Citadel for committing to do this project and also for being willing to add in an elevator. And that's something that they've committed to. They're not currently required to do that under city code, as other cities do, but I want to thank them for being willing to do that. I think that's really important for accessibility for people with disabilities and also carrying groceries. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm sure you've seen it. We did have Citadel provide a overview letter, just providing an explanation on the project, their timeline. The elevator, I think language is in there to Sam's point.
Okay, so there is a resolution tied to this that we need to approve so that application can move forward. I'll take a motion now to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Support. Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamel. Aye. Farahona.
Aye.
Kent. Aye. Snyder.
Aye.
All right, then next item is a resolution approving the Community Services Center policy and rates. Anything from you, Sam, you'd like to address at this time?
No, I'll stand for questions.
Is there any questions or discussion on this the new rental rates that are proposed. Has there been any public feedback anybody's gotten for or against?
Just the paper.
Yeah. Other than, yeah, we saw that, but I think the rates are good. I think it's something we can move forward with. So if there's no...
If I might?
Yeah.
I'd just like to say one note on that. I think the concern raised on potential, bounce checks, that's a valid concern. And I think that, I don't believe it's something that we really had much of an issue with before, and I think the concerns that people have about having to wait, depending on the timing, a month to get their money back, I think it's worth trying this change. So if it turns into an issue, we can change it.
Okay. All right, then we also have a resolution that we need to approve for this to move forward. Take a motion for that now.
So move.
Support. Last chance for the questions. Roll call, please.
Hamel. Aye. Farahona?
Aye.
Kent? Aye. Snyder?
Aye.
All right, then we move into the second reading of the ordinance amending the 2010 Sheldon zoning ordinance. This is dealing with egress windows and emergency escape openings. Anything, Sam, you'd like to comment on at this time?
Just one note is there's an email from Steve Halgren that I linked. I did get some questions from one of you, trying to remember which one of you. But one of you asked me about it, and then also a citizen if it was possible. I know it was Craig Den Hartog last time about how this would apply. And so Steve wrote in his memo, speaks for itself if you have any questions. He recommended keeping it to apply to everything and not just older neighborhoods. But you could amend it.
Any comments or questions?
Make a motion to move it to the second reading and then waive the third.
Support.
Okay. My only question there would be in light of Steve's letter. He talks about changes that have been made by council between reading 2 and 3. Have we gotten any feedback on it at all? So you don't think it's necessary for a third reading?
I don't think so. It's
Okay.
up to you.
Okay.
It's easy either way.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and an approval. Take a roll call on that, please.
Hamel? Aye. Farahona?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Snyder?
All right, item E is the city code of ordinances. Sam, anything from you on that?
I attached a memo there that's fairly complete. If you want to scroll down to page 5 of 5 in that memo, I have a summary of some of the changes that Todd and I made and Chief Birch and I made. So there's 6 or 7 changes there. So unless there's any questions on any of that, we could discuss sewer and trees.
Okay. Let's...
And then we're not approving anything today. We'd have first reading at a future meeting, and then there could be up to 3 readings. And this is probably one where it's big enough, you might want to do at least 2 readings.
Okay.
This has been on almost every agenda since October or November, so it's been well laid out there.
Kerwin was addressing the rate study, is it five-step rate study, is that what we're talking about, for sewer rates? You want to comment on that at all, Todd?
I mean, I can, yeah, you bet. At budget time, Angie and I had told you that we were gonna recommend a 4% increase on sewer and a 8% increase was already adopted on our side. What Kerwin is referencing is there's a charge for when a singular meter serves multiple units, there's an additional apartment charge on each unit. So if you have 30 plex, then there's 30 of those charges. We are proposing through the rate study a reduction of that actual rate, 37% over the next 5 years. Beyond that, the rate increase for the average user over the 5-year period is about 20%. It's about 22% on the fixed charge, and then 18% on the volume charge. Now, we did on major contributors, we did change those fees substantially up. Their quarterly minimum and their volume charge goes up 164% over the 5 years. So we are making some pretty drastic changes towards industry, I guess. Big industry, big users, because they're a bigger tax on the system. And the rate study was done. It's supposed to be an equity rate study where each customer class is actually paying their fair share, so to speak. So that's what I will recommend, because that's what Angie and I and Matt Odikoven from DGR spent a lot of time on. This particular ordinance, though, is only considering the first year of the 5. Next year, the water ordinance is up for renewal as well, and then we'll ask you to adopt 4 years at a time, then we'll have our next 4 years of rates laid out and set, if you agree to do it that way.
Todd, lay out for me, if you will, just the methodology behind, or the mentality behind the multiple unit fixed charge rate. Is it just because there's using more sewer, consuming more? How does that work?
So imagine an apartment building for instance. So there might be 30 residents in that building, but they have one connection to the water and the sewer. But you could have up to 30 families using that connection. So if you don't have, and not all communities utilize the per apartment rate charge. There are others that do, but there are many that don't. But the theory behind it on our end is a single family home pays that, and then this way, they're essentially paying their own minimum. I don't know if I explained that well or not. So
it's basically for equity.
yeah, it's a minimum charge per residence. Think of it that way.
Yeah.
But the amount of that minimum charge used to be the same if you were a single family home or an apartment, or in Kerwin's case, his mobile home park. So with last year, we did no increase on that, and now we're actually proposing to reduce it back. So it's actually still advantageous for the property owner, in my opinion, to pay the monthly charge per apartment, because if they switched it to all individual meters, their fees would actually go up. And we have a sliding scale water rate right now. The more you use, the cheaper it gets. Now,
Sure.
We're going away with that, and on the water side of the same study, by year 5, you will have a flat water. So there'll be no more declining block. The declining block is a system that rarely or nobody hardly uses it. They've almost been all, actually, a lot of places are going to inclining block, where the more you use, the more it costs. I don't know if we're quite ready for that yet, but first we need to get rid of the declining block, and then we can consider from there.
Sure.
And we're doing it over time versus making very large moves at one time.
Anyone else with questions? Okay. Kerwin, are there other comments you want to make at this time, or?
My name's Kerwin Storer. I'm back again. As far as that goes, yeah, I believe my fees last year were like 5,700 of, and if you extrapolate that out, that'd be like 30-some thousand. It was my fees last year were 6,500 between the apartment fee and the sewer fee, but 6,500. And if you'd extrapolate that out, that'd be like $32,600 in fees is, be it the last 5 years or whatever, is about what that comes to, which is, everybody's trying to watch their costs anymore, and so are you guys. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if we feel that we can do this in 5 steps, I'd like to see us go right to the 27 and then do it in 2 steps instead, or, I think it's 25 and then 27, I didn't bring that. Go, do it in 2 steps rather than 5 steps to help the, I mean, it's not just me, it'd be like Fieldcrest, and there's a number of those that are in the same boat that I'm, Christian Retirement Home probably, all those
Citadel.
are in the same boat.
Yeah, Prairie Trail Village, they're the same.
Yeah, so it's not just me complaining, there's a lot of other people in that same boat, so. And I'm not here to bitch about the water rates or the sewer rates, I'm just here to try and get my fees cut down, and I think in there it goes down to, in 5 years, down to $15 or something for multi-unit or multiple units.
Yeah,
And we're just hoping to maybe speed that up or whatever, if we could do it in 2 steps. Just, I guess that's my thought.
Okay. All right, we'll take that under advisement.
Yeah, just to clarify, he's right. It starts at, it's currently $23.69 per unit. And at the end of the 5-year period, if we approve this, it'll be $15 per unit. But yet the single-family home will be paying at that time, for their minimum charge, $30 per unit. So it'll be 50% of it. If that makes sense.
All right, so, anything else you want to say about that at all? All right, then let's move on to the discussion about trees. Anything you want to comment on there?
Yes, so Todd and Mike and I worked on this, and it has the moratorium on the planting. And the only other change is that the last version of 151.02 had 4 sections, and this one has 5. So the line about city reserves the right to remove planting in the parking, that was removed from one of the previous items so that it wouldn't be affected by the moratorium.
Okay. Any comments you want to make on this, Todd?
It's a 5-year moratorium, and I still recommend a permanent one, but I'll be happy with starting at 5.
Okay. All right, council, it's your chance to step in and hear your questions or your comments.
I have had a number of people contact me. Didn't like the idea that they thought the Sheldon streets with the trees that go over the street are part of our ambience, and they hate to see us discontinue that. So be it.
I think the $1 million it's going to take to remove all these trees can buy a lot of ambiance.
I understand.
Anyone else? So then, do we want to schedule that reading, the first reading for the 3rd?
Yeah, if you're okay with it, we can.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Do you want a motion for that?
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay. All right, then we will have that on our next agenda, that next reading, first reading, I should say. All right. Then let's move into the reports portion of our meeting. Anything else, Sam, from you?
No, sir.
Okay. Todd, anything else from you?
No, thank you.
Kurt?
No, thanks, Mayor.
Angie?
No, thank you.
Mike is not here. Counsel to my left.
Thank you.
I have one thing on behalf of the fire department. We're doing a live training fire out at the village on Saturday, weather permitting. So the trail will be closed on the north side of the village property from Sunrise Court to Sunrise Park for 7 until deemed safe, weather permitting.
Anyone else on my left? Wayne?
I'm good.
Just got a couple things. First one is regarding the employee appreciation event scheduled for May 13. It's a Saturday at the Eagles Club. You need to RSVP by the 28th of April. And let Ange know also your meat choice for that. But should have gotten a memo on that. Just want to make sure you get your RSVPs in if you can make it. And then the second is, you all have a booklet. This is your souvenir of the emergency management symposium that Pete and Sam and I were at on Saturday. It was down in Des Moines, sponsored by the Iowa League of Cities. Initially was scheduled for March 9, and I had considered going then, but then they ended up postponing it because of the whole situation with the ruling in the houses that messed up budgets for cities and so on, to the 15th, which worked better. But I've had kind of a feeling early on for quite some time now that I don't feel prepared to respond in an emergency if we were to have one. And I wanted to go. I found out at the meeting, Iowa is in the top 5 in terms of federally declared disasters over the past 11 years. Top 5 of 50 states. Be it flooding, derechos, tornadoes, COVID was one, but we rank up there. We've had some neighboring communities that had to deal, 16 miles down the road, had to deal with a train derailment and a chemical spill. We had a collision with a semi and a train here in our community not that long ago. Nothing happened, thank goodness, but I hope that everything we learned on Saturday never has to be used. But at the same time, I would like to be more prepared than I feel right now. I don't know if anybody else is in that same boat. There was a video that was part of the training, and we've got that pulled up on the screen. It's a short, less than 3-minute video. I'd like to just have that played, just to, this one probably impacted me most of all the stuff that we went through.
As an elected official, protecting the well-being of the whole community is paramount. Doing so is especially critical when disaster strikes. Maintaining the community's trust and support means being prepared to lead during a crisis. Although this story takes place in the city of Baton Rouge and East Baton Rouge Parish, the lessons learned apply to communities across the country. Disasters disrupt people's lives, making them feel vulnerable and depriving them of the services they rely upon. At a time of crisis, the community turns to its local government for assurance that preparations have been made to manage the incident and that their lives will return to normal as quickly as possible with the minimum of inconvenience. The responsibility for a favorable outcome rests with local senior elected officials.
Whenever there's an emergency, the population expects you to step up and be a leader. Now, the question is whether or not you want to accept that role. Because when you raise that hand and take that oath of office,
struck Louisiana. When the levees in New Orleans collapsed, 200,000 people moved into Baton Rouge. What happened 3 years later with Hurricane Gustav was even worse.
Probably the biggest, at least in the last few years, would have to be Gustav. Certainly the most impacting tropical event for the Baton Rouge area since 1965's Betsy. We saw more damage here at Gustav than we did Andrew, even though maybe on a national scale Andrew is a more noteworthy storm.
During a time of crisis, Mayor Holden knew that the people of Baton Rouge expected to hear from him.
I think that people expect you to give them balance. People expect you to carry out basic services like fire, police, EMS. People expect you to deal with flooding if there's a flood there. People expect you to deal with whatever disaster that has come up in an economical way, making sure they are still able to carry on with their lives and their businesses as much as possibly can. But they really look to you to give them some comfort, give them advice, and also do the job to make their lives a lot easier.
So with that reminder of our responsibility, I'm not sure exactly how this is all going to play out yet, but I think we need to do some training, some tabletop. They talked about tabletop exercises. Much of the discussion centered on cooperation with your county EMA person, and Jared Johnson would be that person with us. We have not talked to him yet, but they are schooled in this and would be a good resource. That's the good news, I guess. It's not something we have to do on our own, but I think we do need to know what our roles would be, what the proper chain of command is, whether it's big or small. And again, I hope we never have to use it, but I would rather be prepared than come together and find out. We stand here looking at ourselves in a room and not sure exactly what the next steps are, but because the public is going to expect us to respond. The water's not on, the electricity's not flowing. Those are important things to people, and we need to get those things taken. We need to deal with it as effectively as we can. So just take a look through this booklet. There's going to be some online training available again through the Iowa League of Cities coming up in May. I would encourage you to consider taking that training if at all possible. It's online. You don't have to go to Des Moines for it. And then we will be addressing this again down the road. I'm not sure how soon, but we need to come up with some kind of a plan, and hopefully we all feel a little bit better prepared in the event something would happen.
The training, is it free, or because we're members?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
For those of us that have gone, I don't think there's an additional cost, but I'm not sure about the others. I will find that out.
Okay.
It's a good question, so thank you. So, with that said, that's all I have, so we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support. Roll call, please.
Farahona?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Hamel?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
And we are adjourned.